What's happening, crypto fam? Welcome back to Love for Crypto. I'm Scott. It's a pleasure to have you here. I appreciate you taking the time out to consume the content, so thank you. This video is about FLUF World Seekers, the lore, the Gods and Goblins lore, the Dark Seeker, what are Seekers, what they're all about. We're not going to dive too much into the node aspect of the Seekers in this video. That will be a later video. Not going to go too much into the brains. This is specifically lore based, and generally just what are the Seekers, what's the difference between a standard Seeker and a void Seeker, why you might want both. So let's get straight into it. Two kinds of Seeker, one with a normal background and one with a void background. Both are Seekers, but with the different backgrounds there is different functionality and reason for owning one of each. We will get into that, but first, what are Seekers? What's the lore that has been introduced to us? Where are they from? And what are they here to do? It was out of sight from the world, in the depths of a FLUF's twisting burrow, that the Seekers stirred from a dreamless slumber. They came to life slowly, their consciousness whirling with the purr of 1, and then 1,000, and then 10,000 tiny engines. Professor Sparkinski couldn't help but smile. The awakening had begun. Just say I love how they've set this lore up in the book for people to have a read. If you don't want to hear me go through it, there's plenty of links in the description, but I'll be going through it, giving my thoughts on the way. It's fascinating me. There's big things happening in the FutureVerse. This is just the very beginning. Deep in his laboratory, a horde of smiling electronic eyes flickered into existence for the first time. As this huddle of softly glowing big-eyed robots looked back at him, he wondered if he'd finally, irreversibly, overindulged in mycelium pizza. Hey, you do what you want, Doc. The Seekers were alive and packed with potential beyond Sparky's wildest dreams. Sparky had created the Seekers for a mission that was crucial to the FLUFL, to explore the metaverse, building connections with new forms of life and initiating networks of trade and communication as they ventured. Free from the confines of flesh, they could traverse where no FLUF or bear had gone before, mining and mapping the covens and crevices of underground and beyond. The Seekers took all the tools they were given, and even some they just liked the look of: digging and drilling arms, spotlights and sledgehammers, radar dishes, sweeping antenna lasers, and diamond-tipped blades. Some even had bits of old gramophones, glow sticks, and disco balls designed to improve themselves over time. Their features could become stranger still. So the features on the shoulders and their arms are basically not locked in. By the sounds of it, they're designed to improve themselves over time. Their features would become stranger still. So got adaptive features and traits potentially on each Seeker. If you'd met a Seeker, interesting. It's gone back to the beginning here. The old school S. Anyone with the first letter as S in the name did one of them S's back in the day as a kid. Used to love that. Used to love it. If you'd met a Seeker in those days, you too would have felt the tug of intuition that there must be more to them than meets the eye. Their roving ways and witty comebacks implied unique personalities that seemed beyond the possibilities of just another robot. And the way they looked at you, their eyes, there was always something about their eyes. Some interesting trait page there. And the mushrooms are heavily featured in the FLUF World and FutureVerse. The mycelium currency soon to be based on mushrooms. Mushrooms come from mycelium. It's great for someone who's really into it because it really opens up It brings mycelium to the masses who touch this game, basically, and there is a deeper education there from mycelium and mushrooms. The seekers embarked on their journey, drawing out to the corners of every far-flung world, digging, mapping, gathering, and sometimes even joining in the party. On their travels, they accumulated not just samples of crystals and rare plants for trade, but a deep collective knowledge of the metaverse, the beings that occupied it, and how best to connect them all. It was with this accumulated knowledge that they began to lay the foundations for communication and trade across the open metaverse, away from the walled gardens and high fences of the tech monoliths that came before. Web 2. The more the seekers passed through the mycelium-filled passages of FLUF World and beyond, the stranger they seemed to become. Each time the seekers returned to the call of their beacon, full of stories from previously unknown worlds, Sparkinski couldn't help but notice they seemed more alive. Their sentience was practically spilling over. That's a good little Seeker 6142 showing high utilization. Be interesting to see what kind of feedback we actually get from the seekers in the world when they're actually introduced. Now, I believe that was the beacon that people had when they first minted seekers. I wasn't a minter, I just purchased second hand off someone. So anyone who had the beacon, I believe, got a seeker came to you, or they came back to the beacon. You had one, you was able to mint. And then we're back to the beginning of that little bit of lore. Like I say, I love that little book there, little dig into the lore just on the creation of the seekers. So within reach is an open metaverse of your making. All you need is a little help from your friends. Far beyond the walled gardens, communities thrive, and freedom knows no bounds. Here, open communication is a way of life. Adventure breeds opportunity, and fortune favors those who seek it. The seekers have been purposely built to make this dream a reality. Your trusted companions and expert sidekicks, these endearing yet rebellious robots, are here to help you boldly navigate the new open metaverse. Together, the seekers are decentralized communications network for the open metaverse, bringing greater utility to your NFTs, bridging the gaps between communities, and unifying us all in a shared open rebellion for positive change against the restrictions of Web 2. Fascinating, and like we say, it's just the start, but to think you could have a companion that can communicate across each metaverse you take part in is great stuff. Great stuff. Beyond the nodes and everything else it's capable of, the Seekers are a collection of unique 3D robots facilitating decentralized communication across the open metaverse. Just like our partner projects, Seekers are stored as ERC721 tokens on the Ethereum blockchain, and owners will be able to download their Seeker in MP4, GIF, and PNG formats, with 3D models on the horizon. The 3D models bit is fascinating to me because it gets me thinking, okay, if I've got a piece of land in FLUF World and FutureVerse and I get 3D models of all my avatars, does that mean I can place a version of them in my space, even though it won't be that actual Seeker, just be a 3D rendered version of it? I'm really interested in what kind of building tools landowners are going to be given inside FLUF World and FutureVerse. Again, we're not going to dive too much into Seekers as nodes, but there is a link in the description, not only to a Medium post about it, but the actual documentation to run a node yourself. So have a look at that if you want. Potential future video about it if and when we set one up. There's the beacons. So the Great Return, I think this is hinting to the minting of the original Seekers when they came back to everyone who had the beacon related to them. For years, the Seekers have been out in the ether, laying the foundations for their network. With their task almost complete, the time of the Great Return draws closer. Each Seeker is unique in its own right, as is its beacon, Upon mint, you will receive a Seeker beacon. Then, when the time of the Great Return arrives, your Seeker will take the beacon's place and become the robot sidekick you've been waiting for. So I believe that's happened, and the Seekers are now out. They are available on OpenSea. We saw at the top, join the Discord, view on OpenSea. You can see I've got mine on OpenSea, a normal and a void. Why have I got a void? What are the gods and goblins? What was the sacrifice? If you watched our previous FLUF World video, it'll be there on a card. If not, now, gods and goblins. Another related project to the FLUF World and FutureVerse, using Seekers as an extra utility to help build out this universe and help spread awareness throughout the FutureVerse and FLUF World to this project. You can see an unbuilt portal in the back. That's where it gets interesting. The time has come. Soon we undertake the remaining sacrifice for the good of the Empire, completing the Goblin portal. The lost, the curious, the forsaken, we call upon you. Turn away from the light and join us. That's what I say is sci-fi geek and comic buff. I absolutely love the level of detail given in the lore already within the FutureVerse and every project attached to it. I love this stuff. Anyone who's played games like The Witcher, Skyrim, anything with a library where you can go and read the lore within the game. Love that stuff, so love this stuff. Pat on the back for the project teams. The sacrifice. Again, this is all linked in the description if you want to read yourself. The Journal of Valin the Shrewd. Entry 777. Now, if that's me and I'm lore writing, that means there's 776 before this. There's always more lore to come within the world. There will be books to find, lore to find. I can't wait. It wasn't our intention to spite the gods. Through their fury can be the only explanation for the hellish wrath that befell our horde in the event known as the Wreck. It happened suddenly. The plume burst through the portal without warning, a snarling, insatiable beast, snatching our factions mercilessly as goblin shrieks pierced the night sky, a haunting cacophony of terror and rage. On it crept, constricting and devouring, before dragging our horde, kicking and screaming into the abyss from whence it came. Only those bearing the amulets were spared, protected from the devastation by their otherworldly power, though left to pick up the pieces, and of those there were many. Our portal reduced to rubble, the connection to our home severed in an instant, our cavern network sunken and ravaged, along with our very plans for this godforsaken world. Only the Tinkerer faction remained, downtrodden, dejected, and seemingly condemned to an eternity in the abysmal mire that is FLUF World. Every second in this wretched place is worse than the last. We feel its disdain for our species, the pervasive contempt oozing from every crevice. To this place, we're a plague, a virus hell-bent on snapping every ounce of life from its core. It will soon learn we just have a better use for it. I'm sorry, I milled up then. I'm just fascinated by how deep they've gone so early. I understand some people are going to look at this and as I'm reading it, just be like, what the fuck's all this bullshit? What's even the point? But you need to understand these metaverses are mostly coming out as games at first. Yeah, there'll be educational spaces, there'll be exploratory spaces, there'll be this, there'll be that, but at first it's games. And what gamers love is lore. Alright, so I'm sorry if I'm not reading it as efficient as you would be, or it's boring. Feel free to go and read it on your own. Go and look at it up, but I find it fascinating, so I will be continuing. It's only we're getting there. Dark Seeker, Queen, Sacrifice, Goblins, Void Seekers. Yeah, we're getting there. So, for an eternity, Fluff kind of squandered the resources at its disposal. Protected the mycelium, conserved it, while its potential lies dormant, withering and decaying with each passing day. A tragedy that must be remedied. The Goblin Queen demands it. Foolish as they are, the creatures here have proven somewhat useful. At least their inventions have. The prospect of reconstructing our portal seemed dire, until one evening in the dead of night we spied a lone seeker investigating portal rubble near our encampment. Our first instinct was to dismantle the hunk of tin, then and there. But as we crept towards the unsuspecting bot, busy surveying the strewn debris, it remained eerily still, no distress, no sense of panic or impending doom, just an inexplicable calm, as though it was expecting us. As the seeker rotated to face us, a sliver of moonlight scanned, studiously across the jet black exoskeleton, every ridge and indentation illuminated in succession, as though even the gods themselves were attempting to process the darkness that lay beneath them. On it turned, until the rear chassis that initially greeted us was replaced with a demonic pair of glowing red eyes burning with unbridled fury like gaping chasms into the depths of hell. They're going deep, and they're going, like, the vocabulary at times is, let's just say, not what I'm used to. But well done for the Lord. I'm really impressed. I really am. Obviously, I know I've scanned through it before because I know what's kind of coming, but I didn't read it properly. Maybe I should have, and it had been easier the second time. But either way, before we could draw our weapons, before a single goblin could turn to flee, the machine began to hover towards, as though compelled by some ethereal magnetic force. The ground shook violently beneath us, goblin armor clanging uncontrollably. Then, there it paused, brooding formidable, just inches from us all. Gazing at the sinister form before us, our faction awash in its crimson neon glow, a familiar certainty began to take hold. Behind a menacing veneer, beneath that impenetrable outer shell, was the faulty wiring of a tortured outcast. The creature was one of us. Ooh. Have the goblins been turned into seekers? Oh dear. Possibly. But the Dark Seeker wanted something from us, and us something from it. In exchange for the new parts it desired, assistance in its continued quest for mechanical supremacy, the secrets of the Found were laid bare. We learned of the roaming Seekers and their movements throughout the metaverse, of their planned return to the Found, a tantalizing smorgasbord of portal parts, soon to be ours for the taking, and of the beacons that guide their movements, primitive technology, able to blindly lure the Seekers into the hands of whomever so commands them. Perfect. From the depths of our derelict cavern system, we fashioned a beacon of our own, its signal conducted by the Dark Seeker, a sinister puppet master orchestrating the corruption of its once allied faction. The compelling beacons of the Found put up a fight, succumbed to the siren calls of our dark frequency, and wizened finger, beckoning the bots into the shadows of their eventual demise. Diverted from their flight path, they neared ever closer, until a colossal metallic mass eclipsed what little light had breached the Bruma's sky. Language, not used to it. One by one they fell, like unsuspecting prey, into the salivating jaws of destiny. A great return indeed. Talked about the minting of the Seekers. This is how entwined all these projects are. Like I say, I mean, go and have a nice little dive into it all yourself, but it seems every project that comes and partners with FLUF World is deeply entwined From before they even announced that they're there, they've got pre-plans and God knows what future plans there is. We will find out a little bit, but there's so many phases to be released. It's just fascinating to be involved. Again, I'm not telling you to go out and start buying Seekers. I'm just showing you why I have and why you might want to do your own research and potentially invest in FutureVerse. So the Found may think they thwarted our efforts before enough Seekers were acquired. A mere inconvenience. The Goblin Queen is noble. The Goblin Queen sees all. Her powers of divination reveal many secrets, including the current whereabouts of a stray Seekers faction, trapped in the vast expanse of nothingness, known only as the Void. We know not what prevents their return to the light of the Found, why their beacons have yet to summon the bots into the hands of their expectant masters. Perhaps the gods smile on us once more, gifting our faction the fleeting opportunity for atonement, one we will not lay to waste. Soon we will redeploy the beacon, luring the disoriented bots into the darkness once again. The call of the Found may be ardent, but our ghostly whisper will flow freely through the void, crawling under the armor of all with the capacity for corruption. There are many out there like us, revealed, unwanted, those the world deems unworthy of inclusion, left to wallow in the dreary pits of eternal misfortune. If we call, they will answer. To those members of the Found and FLUF World, we call upon you. Switch off your beacons, extinguish the light, relinquish your Seekers to the shadows. Should the Goblin Queen deem your sacrifice worthy, great power shall be yours. The time has come. Join us. Ooh, lovely. So what does it mean? What does it mean? The Seekers in the void. Relinquish them. Extinguish the light. Relinquish your Seekers to the shadows. Should the Queen deem your sacrifice worthy, power shall be yours. Now, if you remember, it mentioned an amulet saved some of the goblins from being taken. There's a goblin right there. There you go. Warming their hands on a fire. Stay warm, lad. We're coming. If we continue past the law, we have the pledge. So additional parts are required to complete the portal. Pledge yours. And if selected by the Goblin Queen during the reckoning, your sacrifice will be handsomely rewarded. We've had to build. The Goblin Empire will rise again. A final sacrifice that's required to complete the portal and recover their lost factions. The pledge. The first phase will allow the willing to pledge their NFTs to the cause. If the Goblin Queen deems your pledge worthy, you will be included in the sacrifice. The sacrifice. Let the ritual commence. Sacrifices will be burned for all eternity, with their parts used to complete the portal for the good of the Goblin Empire. The Goblin Queen is noble and just. All those who made a sacrifice will be rewarded with a rare and powerful amulet, set to be revealed upon completion of the portal. We then have the offering, which one could potentially take as an offering of a goblin for an amulet. The summoning could be the minting of said goblin. The allegiance and the recurring. All to be revealed. I'm just speculating for now. So what I think may happen off the surface of this, I'm taking if the Goblin Queen deems your pledge worthy, you'll be included in the sacrifice. It tells me that potentially this is my Void Seeker. So of the Seekers, of the Void backgrounds, which are, we go to background Void, 54% of the Seekers have this trait. So go back to Seekers, and we can see up here items, 47,892. So we have 47 to like just under 50,000 seekers, and 54% of them are void seekers. Now, if the math doesn't add up and there isn't around 24,000 goblins to trade all these void seekers for, that means that not everyone with a void seeker is going to be able to sacrifice them for a goblin. It may just mean if you try and sacrifice a normal one, the queen won't deem it worthy. This one's already come back. It's in a place in the universe. It's in a place in the FutureVerse. Or they're all at if they're at a location, they came back to the beacon of face value. These are still stuck in the void. These are the ones they're going to call back to finish the portal. That portal in the background, and then that's when the amulets will be given to the goblins through and they can come back through. Again, big lore dive, deep lore dive. I imagine when you get into the, eventually you're going to be able to find books, libraries, chests, scrolls, all sorts that will explain the past and the potential prophecies and lore of the future. Either way, Seekers, fantastic addition to the FLUF World FutureVerse, a fantastic addition to one's wallet. Full disclosure, we now have a den, a burrow in the FutureVerse, gives us one patch of land. If you buy a suite or something bigger, you will get more land parcels, but we just got the one. We have 2 seekers. For reasons now given, we have the normal one that we can use in a game and it can potentially become a Sylo node for us in the future. We have the void one to hopefully sacrifice for an amulet and potentially get a goblin from Gods and Goblins. And we also have some ASM Generation 2 brains. We'll be doing a video on the brains very, very soon. It is all linked. Just quickly, I'll give you a quick glimpse. If we come into genome mining of the brains, we actually have a little story. And look who it is, the Seekers. Again, every project in the FLUF world, all entwined, interoperable. It is literally the only one on the market at the moment and the only one I'm seeing advertised that feels and looks like the Oasis of Ready Player One, where it doesn't matter what world you're in, where you are, what you use it, they're all linked through portals, like the Goblin portal, soon to be fixed. We'll go into this more when we do the ASM. There is another lore dive. It's a story, not as big as what we've read today, but it's still a story and extra lore to the FutureVerse and FLUF World. I'm being pulled into this. The gamer in me is loving it. The futurist in me is loving it. And hopefully you're loving it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Give it a like and a thumbs up. Give it a share with your friends. Tell them what FLUF World's all about, and I will see you in later videos. Take it easy. Peace.